Did you know that the centerpiece and captain of the Buffalo Bills defense, who was the second best scoring defense and the third best defense in terms of yards allowed this past season, was a 21-year-old? For many NFL fans out there that are unaware of who Tremaine Edmunds is, shame on you. I get a little bit personal about how good this player is, and it's kind of disrespectful how few people are aware of how good Tremaine and how impressive Tremaine Edmunds is outside of Buffalo Bills fans and people that at least watch the AFC East. So I'm just going to kind of get into what makes Tremaine Edmunds one of the league's best players that people are just unaware of. I guess they'll find out eventually. But for now, I guess my goal here is to make NFL fans or people that are trying to watch the NFL just more aware of who he is, and especially considering he has the Bills Mafia behind him. I imagine people love Tremaine Edmunds, especially within the Bills community. But I just want to make his name just more noticed. I want more people to know who he is. So to give a little bit of background, Tremaine Edmunds was recruited out of the state of Virginia. He would go to Virginia Tech as a 3-star prospect. I guess a lot of the reasons that there's a lot of speculation because he was incredibly young for his grade, but he would go on to really prove everyone wrong. He would go to Virginia Tech, where he kind of submit himself as one of the best players in the ACC, especially his sophomore year, where he would go on to have 94 total tackles in 13 games, 4.5 sacks, and the next year he go on with 108 tackles in 13 games. Just to solidify himself as one of the NFL's at least top prospects. He will go on to the combine, put up incredible numbers, and show how incredible and amazing of an athlete he is. And I guess scouts and teams were very intrigued by how young he was, how physical he was, and just how smart of a player he is. When he was at Virginia Tech, they were one of the ACC's top defenses, and he was the reason why. I'm an ACC fan, so I was kind of aware of Tremaine Edmunds when he was in college. I was unaware. I wasn't sure that he was going to be this dominant when he got to the pros, but even he exceeded my expectations. So in the 2018 draft, he would go on to be taken 16th overall by the Buffalo Bills. Once he got to the Bills, he, as a rookie, became one of the league's best. In his age 20 season, in 15 games, he started all 15 of them. He would go on to get 121 tackles on the season as the middle linebacker for the Buffalo Bills. They weren't necessarily a playoff team, but their defense was starting to cement itself as just one of the league's best that people just weren't simply aware of. But yeah, Buffalo Bills fans, they knew who he was, and people that weren't watching the Bills but just look at stats, they look at him and see that this kid is 20 years old and he had 120 tackles in the NFL. I mean, that's even that in itself is incredible because some of the league's top defenders right now who are at the peaks of their primes, even middle linebackers, aren't doing what he's doing at 20 years old. At 20 years old, I was a junior in college. I'm a junior in college. I'm 20 years old right now. At 20 years old, as a rookie, he got 121 tackles on grown men in the NFL. That's really all I can really say there. And the second year, while Buffalo got pieces like Ed Oliver to kind of and Star Ludwig to just pack around to solidify the defensive line and of course make their aerial defense just even that much better. They became one of the league's top defenses consistently, which helped the Buffalo Bills get to the playoffs. They would eventually get a wild card seed, but of course they play in the same division as the New England Patriots. His second season in 16 games, he would go on and get 115 total tackles, 10 tackles for loss as opposed to 5 the previous season, and that's just what he does. He's an incredibly smart football player. He knows how to run the lanes. He knows how to control the gaps. He barely has tackles broken against him. He barely misses tackles. I think that's the term I was looking for. He always keeps his head up in the pass game. He's incredibly smart, and I think it's really notable that in addition to having 115 tackles, with this defense, he was named one of the team captains of the Buffalo Bills at 21 years old. The first year in the league, he would be legally allowed to drink alcohol. Like, that's how young he is. And for how good he's been as a linebacker, he was eventually named to be a Pro Bowler, and the Buffalo Bills would eventually go on to lose in the playoffs. But I hope I hope afterwards, or even during last season, I hope that some people got a sense as to how good Tremaine Edmunds is. And considering he's only 21 years old, his best years are very well in front of him. And with how this Bills defense is set up, with a lot of young players packed up front, their ability to draft, to kind of pick out and draft good defensive talent is kind of underrated. I think the Bills have done a pretty good job in terms of just drafting pieces to make their defense stronger. I mean, even right now, they have Star Ludole and Ed Oliver on their line. They got Matt Milano, Tremaine Edmunds, and A.J. Klein. And they have defenders like Tre'Davious White and Levi Wallace, Jordan Poyer, and Micah Hyde just in their secondary. That's how good their defense is. And he's the middle of it all. He's a part of the front seven, and when he drops back, he's still a very good pass defender as well. Amazing athlete, but I think his most underrated asset is how intelligent he is. He's very poised. He's very calm, cool, collected, just like a lot of these other players. But just watching him play, I think he's one of the smarter defensive players in all of football. People should really give him I guess because he plays in Buffalo, and not many people outside of Bills Mafia really follow the Bills, except for people that watch the Patriots in the AFC East. I don't know. If you're a football fan and you're looking for just like another young player to watch for his entire career, a player that you can kind of see right now is on track to being a Hall of Fame linebacker. I mean, there are players in this league. Tremaine Edmunds is playing right under your nose, and you're not even aware of it. Well, I mean, most people aren't aware. I imagine a lot of NFL fans are aware that Tremaine Edmunds is doing what he's doing. But if you're not, please just take the time to get to see what this kid's all about, because he's very impressive. And considering he's my age and he's about old enough to be in my grade, he's doing this in the NFL, and he's already the captain of an NFL team in which not the average age, but there's a lot, but I would say the average age in the NFL is about 23, 24. And a lot of the elite players that I have on this list, they're probably in their mid-20s. Doing what he's doing right now at his age is over impressive, and he's a player that you can kind of see right now who's on track to becoming a potential Hall of Famer. I said that over and over again, but I'll just kind of sum all of it together. He's exceeded expectations from when he was a high school player up until now, just based on his age. And now his age is really kind of coming in handy to prove that he is an amazing young football player. Really don't get the chance to overlook this player. Like, there are still players that are there are college football players. There are college football players that are older by a year than Tremaine Edmunds, who is a captain on an NFL football team. So that's kind of what I'm saying. I'm just, for how young he is, what he's done, and how he's the centerpiece of a Bills defense that was the second best scoring defense in all of football last year, in the same division as the New England Patriots, by the way. That's what he's doing. So I really hope that I really hope that you really got a chance to hear what I said about Tremaine Edmunds, get a chance to watch him. If you got to watch the Buffalo Bills, I start watching him now because their defense is going to be ridiculous. But thank you once again. If you've listened from this beginning to end, I appreciate it. And with that, I'm just going to sign off by saying peace.